2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. Well, I hope you're ready to start the new year. Actually, I'm not because I can't read my clock. We're going to head into the main bulk of the. It'll be a playlist on YouTube. That'll be the best place to see it on modeling. I'm not sure I've ever actually done a series on modeling. I think there's one from years and years ago on a marker board up on YouTube. So this is kind of exciting for me. And I've been, I keep thinking I should start it, and then I keep hitting things that you really need to know before you get to the modeling part. And so I've actually done, I think, 3 playlists getting to this point, which may be a little bit disconcerting, but I got a lot to say. I guess, what can you say? What can you say about an old guy who wants to talk in a dark room? So let's go on and start the process. Okay. So we'll get over here to bring up the slide. Okay, this is from my book, Spinning Straw into Gold. It's available on Amazon, Spinning Straw into Gold. And it's available on Kindle, paperback, and audiobook, but that one I kept to myself. So if you buy the book, just write me and I will send you the audiobook. It's just an MP3 and it just goes, and it's in the voice of the author. If you can believe that. Anyway, so I'm pretty proud of it. There's a way to buy it. Somebody did it at a conference, so you can send me a PayPal, $20, and I'll sign it and mail it off to you individually on the paperback version if you like. Oh man, I've never been this promotional on any talk ever, but I think it's good to have it. You can take notes from it. Actually, it would be good for this class. So, sally forth, carry on. Let's go. Okay, so Spinning Straw into Gold. The science? No, not really the science. The art? Well, there's a lot of art to it, but really, it's the magic. It's the magic of turning data into money. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Okay? And I'm continually amazed after reading literally hundreds of articles on AI and big data and customer journey and all of these topics that we've been touching on. I'm literally shocked that no one really talks about how to turn it into money. How do you turn data into money? This is it. I only know because I've done it over and over and over. So let's talk about basic customer modeling. Marketing, first thing you got to remember is marketing is about predicting the future. And that's great, and that's why it's so hard. I used to be really intimidated by the accounting people who had all their numbers, their numbers would come out and add up. And I'm trying to forecast sales, and I'm trying to forecast inventory and manage profitability. And I'm always off 3 or 4%, or 2 or 1. I was pretty good at it, actually. I have some tools. I have a course on how to do some of this basic stuff for entrepreneurs, or actually for people beyond the entrepreneur step who need another level of skill. Anyway, marketing is always about predicting the future. Accounting can deal with the past, but how do we predict the future? And that's the puzzle. And the answer is, first of all, we get a really good look at the past. Now, the idea that, those who do not learn the lessons of history are doomed to repeat them, but those who do learn the lessons of history are doomed to watch the lessons of history be ignored. I have an undergrad in history, and, you just watch, well, right now, we're right in the middle of it. If we did socialism here, it would be a benevolent socialism. Yeah, but why isn't it ever? Well, there's a reason. Go watch Jordan Peterson. But so there's some repeatability and there's some novelty to the future. But all you've got to look at is the past. And no matter what anybody in their brochure and their fancy website says about real-time data, there is no real-time data. Hopefully what they mean is that we've taken the past and we've siphoned some things out of it, figured some things out, so that when X happens, we can do Y. So when someone abandons their shopping cart, we can send them an email with the items and say, you probably just forgot. That's what I do mostly, forget. That as makes so much sense, right? But it's not really marketing, and it's not really predicting the future. It's saying we've noticed X, and we're going to do Y, right? Okay. So if there's all kinds of examples in marketing. That's probably the best one. The best one is they came to our website, so we're going to go find their address. If they stayed around a little while and looked around and did a few things, and if they live in the right neighborhood and if they live near the store, we're going to send them a postcard and invite them and say, hey, we have a special running right now for people like you. That's perfectly fine, right? Perfectly fine. Somebody from New York City just called. If you're on here watching, feel free to call when we're finished, but we're getting there. Okay, so marketing is future oriented, but data is past oriented, and that is a puzzle, right? It's always a puzzle. Let's see if this. I'm running the slideshow feature, which is a little more difficult for me to do. I don't really know how to do it, to be honest about it. Okay, so now they're leaving a message. Let's try. We're stuck. Don't use the slideshow feature. Nothing like live TV. We can edit this out on the YouTube version, but we're stuck here. We're totally stuck. Okay, so let's try opening another copy. Can we do that? Sure. Let's try killing this one. We may not even be able to kill it. I should tell more stories. Okay, we got it. We got another. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so marketing, in order to make sense of the past, when I got into computers, I got really suspicious of the IT people because they gave me reports, and the reports, I wasn't sure what the reports were showing. It looked to me like the reports covered up stuff. In fact, they did. In fact, there was mistakes in the data, and there was messy stuff in the data that they weren't seeing, and I could tell there was something off. And then we'd always end up in the real data. That somebody in some software program was multiplying it by 100 or 1,000 instead of what they were supposed to do. So, I thought, well, the cure to everything would be to get my hands on the data, right? And, this was the thing in those days. This was the pitch IBM gave about the System 34. That if you could just get our System 34, instead of these reports, marketing could query the real data, and operations could query the real data. And of course, I ran across clients in that time frame, like daytimers, for example, who wouldn't let marketing run a query from about August until about February. Because the lights would dim. Because marketing is trying to sort out all the data. Look for the patterns in all the data. Unlike processing an order where a customer calls and you say, what's your phone number? Up comes that one thing. That's running down an index and pulling one or more records and piecing it together on the screen. And this is partly why marketing doesn't understand modeling, because they don't understand computers for the most part. But anyway, so what we found out was that data is big. One of our very first big clients was the Hudson Bay Company, and in a good month they did 20 million transactions. Yeah, okay. They had a 5%. They were $5 billion retailer. That was pretty big, even in those days. And so what we had to do was we had to create variables. We had to create little rows of numbers and letters that are not illuminating, and you get this huge spreadsheet. I hope it's going to come back to life here. You get this huge spreadsheet of numbers and letters, and for some reason it's saving the document, even though I didn't make any changes. So variables let us see into the data. Okay? Now my cursor disappeared. Oh, there it goes. I'm just having a great time today. There are lens of observation in our customers. What's the problem? The big problem is that the more variables you get, we'll talk about variables more, the more variables you get, the harder it is to make sense of them, the more spurious correlations you get. So we're going to talk about the process of looking at variables tomorrow. I'm John Miglosh. Like and share.